In today's video, I'm going to do a request from one of you. We've been chatting here in the community, in the notes, asking about how do we know what type of finish is on an existing piece of furniture. And in this video, I'm going to teach you a few tips on how I've been doing it the last 10 years since it's been an issue for us here as well. There's a lot of different types of finishes: polyurethanes, varnishes, shellacs, lacquers. How do you know which ones could go on top of one another? Well, when I started 20 years ago, I was taught you could spray a harder finish over a softer one, meaning on some occasions you could spray a polyurethane over a lacquer or a shellac, but you can't put a lacquer or shellac over a varnish or a polyurethane. I don't like to layer finishes over things that I don't know what's on it existing, so I recommend always start from scratch, strip it down, sand it, start from the raw wood. That's what I always recommend. But in this situation, we went through a few little techniques that I've learned over the last 20 years on how to tell what type of finish was on here. First, easy one to do is I always flip it over and look down at the bottom edge. If it's somebody who did this at with a Home Depot or a Varnish from a Home Depot or Lowe's, they would have never thought to take this apart. It'd be sitting here and they might have brushed on finish. Well, a lot of times it'll just drip and pool here on the bottom. This one here doesn't have that. So like I said, now we know at least it was sprayed professionally and we can move on to the next step. The next little tip: get a little bit of sandpaper, 220 grit, 320 grit, just depending on what works. We know we did the 320 first. It didn't cut down enough for us to tell. I went down to an old piece of 220, and this is the simple one. Is just sand it. So as it's building up and you kind of see this dust is coming up a little bit yellow or amber. That's kind of starting to lead to us that it's not a polyurethane. Most instances, the polyurethane will come up clear or white, like it'll just be a white color. That's the first thing there. So I said, we're already on a good path that this is probably some sort of either lacquer or shellac, but we're going to sand it down a little bit more. And then tip number 2, and this one will take you many years to master. You got to have the nose for it. Bring it up to your nose, smell it. Lacquer or shellac have just a boring smell that's not bold, it's not pungent in any way. So as I said, that's why I could kind of start telling that this is a lacquer or a shellac. Polyurethanes are going to smell a little bit sweet, kind of like candy. I don't know what it is about it, but that's what we see. And then varnishes, boat varnishes, exterior varnishes, they have a really pungent smell. They don't smell very good. So when you kind of take a smell on it, like I said, you're going to take a few years to really master this and learn, but like a no odor is usually a lacquer. Then you go with the signs of the amber or the yellow dust. We're starting to get on the right track. And over time, you're going to start figuring this out. The feel of it, the way it sands, the way it powders up, you're going to start learning these little things about the different types of finishes as you level up and start learning them. So what we're doing now is we're just cleaning it again with that wax and grease remover, wax wash, making sure that there's no grease or oils or fingerprints or anything like that on the surface. And the last way, which will tell you for sure if you're going to have any issues, is put lacquer on it direct. Spray a few coats of sealer, let it dry. When you do this, if you're going to spray this on top of a varnish or even a polyurethane, a lot of times this lacquer will start wrinkling. It won't dry and adhere. Once it's dry visually, take your fingernail and see if you could scratch it off with ease. Don't dig into it, don't be scratching it, but if you just touch your finger on the surface, if it was turning white or delaminating, it didn't stick to that finish. So what I'm going to do, just set this up real quick. Get an air hose, you can blow it out as well, or even you can take your spray gun and just do that. But what you're going to do, just a quick medium coat. You want to be a little excessive with it. Don't go super dry, but you don't want to go really wet. You don't want to just bake it on there. But you can already see it's starting to dry up. We're going to let that dry just for a few minutes, come back, and then we'll do the last little torture test on it to make sure we are on the right page. So now that I let it dry for a few minutes, you can come back and you can see that this is the little strip that we sprayed. This is still the raw finish, what we're assuming is a nitrocellulose lacquer or a shellac. Come in here with your fingernails and just kind of scratch it. Why I'm doing this is that if this lacquer was just sitting on the surface, it would usually scratch off. Lacquer and shellacs, they actually melt in with one another. So when they get wet, it reactivates all the finish that's on there and then melts in as one whole type of finish. Polyurethanes, because they're catalyzed, think about them this way, that they stack on top of one another. They don't actually melt together and turn into one finish. That's why this little scratching method is what you use to test that. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the little section down below. And let me know if this was helpful for you. I know we've been talking about this in the community. If you have any other requests, put it up here. It gives me and Ivan something to do to make new videos for you guys that you actually need. I hope this was helpful. We'll see you guys in the next video.